Good morning, everybody, and welcome to episode 2 of the Impact Marathon Deep Dive December. My name is Nick Kershaw. I'm the founder, CEO of the Impact Marathon series, and it's an absolute privilege to welcome you behind the scenes of how we create an Impact Marathon, and also, more importantly, how we can create the world we dreamt we lived in as kids. Today's guest is a really special person. I met him in my first week when I first moved out living in Nepal, and he has become a great friend. He's an incredible leader to Child Reach Nepal, the organization we work with, and he is a fantastic cook. So when we said to him that we wanted to have a deep dive conversation where we talked all things Nepal, where we talked all things Child Reach, and everything in between. In fact, we do cover a bit of running in this talk as well. Urgen replied, well, can I teach everyone to make momos at the same time? Now, momos are an incredible dish that is so popular with our runners when we're over in Nepal. I'm missing them massively at the moment, and so we thought that is a perfect thing to do. We've defied all the technical odds and managed to get a good link between myself here in Wales and Urgen in a kitchen in Kathmandu, and we are going to teach you how to make momos. We're going to talk all around the work of Child Reach across Nepal. We're going to talk a little bit about running, and I hope you really enjoy this episode. Urgen is a great friend and a great cook, so I'll let him take it on from here.
It is great to have you on the show here. It's also great to see you. This is my first time in 5 years. I'm not in Nepal in November, so it's brilliant to see you. How are you doing?
I'm doing absolutely well. It's good to see you too, Nick. Even though virtually.
It's the way it is, and this. I know this show is going to make me miss Nepal and miss you even more because we're going to be making momos. For people who don't know what a momo is and don't know its importance to Nepal and the history of Nepal, can you just give us an idea of what is a momo and why is it so important?
All right, momo is basically a undeclared national dish, predominantly found in Nepal. Wherever you go, momo is the staple. You can have it for breakfast, you can have it for lunch, you can have it for dinner, you can have it as a snack. Momo is something that brings families, together because it's like a process. The whole process goes into the whole process that goes into making the momos. You get the whole family involved, so it's like a festive affair. When people make momos, it's always fun. You have the little kids kneading the dough. You have the big people cutting the vegetables and stuff like that. So it's predominantly an integral part of a typical Nepali family. So historically, if I have to tell a little bit of momos, it obviously originated somewhere up north in Tibet, but how it came into Nepal or how it came into Kathmandu specifically was through the Newari traders who took the Silk Road up to Tibet. They learned the ingredients. We also had a Nepali princess, Bhikuti, if I am not mistaken, married off to a Tibetan royal. And, we have this connection there. And then that's how the momos came into being. It has a history of its own. So the Newari traders, they brought it down to Kathmandu. And from they started to make momos on their own. But momos, when you come down to Kathmandu, you have a variety of momos. You have the Newari momos, then you have the Tibetan momos. You have the momos that are that comes from the east side in a small township in India called Darjeeling. So we have a variety of momos in Kathmandu. So it's an amalgamation of how food brings nations together, and at the same time, the diversity of the culture within this particular dish. It is really interesting to see how people, integrate the taste and, of different cultures and different countries. So sometimes you have chocolate momos that, fits into the Western palate sometimes, so things like this. So momos in itself is a very, very, sometimes it's intricate, sometimes it's sophisticated in terms of how you mix your ingredients and recipes. So that's what's exciting about momos. That's the reason why I feel, going across borders teaching people how to make this dish is something that itself is very dear to me, because I like to cook. So this is one of my passion. I like to cook. And thank you very much for giving me this opportunity. This is like my little group show here. I was wanted to have this, so yeah, here I am doing this thing.
This is fantastic and a great setup. And I think one of the things that I've always loved so much about travel is it's actually super rare that I come across a new ingredient I've never heard of or seen of or before. Actually, if you look at the makeup of what makes a momo, it's not like they're ingredients you can only get in Nepal, in the same way as you recently taught me how to make dal bhat, the other dish that's so popular in Nepal, the rice and the lentil dal and that side of things. And you put it in and there's no ingredients there. That it's just how you combine them, how they use them, how those ingredients have come together over centuries of our ancestors before us that mean that, okay, the momo is so uniquely Nepali. And just to for those listening on a podcast who've never heard of a momo before, we're going to see it live here. You're going to describe the process, but essentially it's meat or vegetables wrapped up in a small bit of dough and then fried or steamed. Is that a fair analysis? A quick in a nutshell?
Yeah, in a nutshell, yeah. Basically in a momo shell, yes.
Yeah, I see that. And so you, just to go also into this, I love your apron today. We've talked about it many times, and I've seen you do it. You've got what you call momo diplomacy. Can you explain what momo diplomacy is, how you harness it? I know it fits in a lot with the work of Child Reach, which we'll come on to as you start cooking, but just lay out loud, why is it that when it comes to Kathmandu and momos, the name Urgen is so linked to that?
Okay, so first of all, this logo here was designed by a dear friend of mine. Her name is Anna Childs. She's also from the UK. It is something that propped up while we were in one of the restaurants. We were talking food, and obviously Momo was there. And then this is a very very wild idea in terms of what if we had something called Momo diplomacy, and why Momo diplomacy? But we just realized we're having momos. In fact, when I meet you, we also eat. we also ending up eating momos, stuff like that. So, but while we're eating this momo, we are always talking about ideas. We're talking about how we can bring about little changes in the world, specifically in Nepal and the communities that we work in. So I feel momos to be like a cup of coffee. When you come down to Nepal, you have a cup of coffee, but at the same time, you order a momo. It's something that you start discussion with. Why momo? What is it about? Like the discussion that we are having right now. But at the end of the day, I've had a lot of conversation with a lot of people over a plate of momo or over a plate or two of momos. So the idea of momo diplomacy is the very essence of enjoying the culture, at the same time understanding the culture through food, because it's easy to talk to people about what momo is all about, and then you talk to people about the country, and then you talk to people about the hardships that the country goes through, and the work obviously Child Reach Nepal does. So that's what exactly momo diplomacy is about. It's about bringing the world together in the ingredients, like metaphorically speaking, when we mix the ingredients, a lot of things that goes into this to make it tasty. So that, and again, it's not just one person doing it; it's a lot of people coming together. So it's about bringing people together. It's about collaborating to bring out this amazing thing, or to bring out changes within the community and to see the impacts within the community. So when we eat momos, I wish when when people from abroad come in, they take a piece of the momo, and then they understand the culture, they understand Nepal as a whole, the way it has been personified around the world, and also see how rich we are and how diverse we are culturally, and through various means. So, and at the same time, the hardships that we face in terms of our daily, lives like that. So Momo diplomacy is trying to get all these things together and, working together with all our international community at the same time. That's, that's what I feel Momo diplomacy should be going ahead to.
Yeah. Amazing. Right. So let's get started. All of those ingredients are sat there in front of you. And I think we want to see how this comes together. So talk us through the ingredients, talk us through everything that you're about to do, Urgen.
All right. So the momo today I'm going to make is very simple. You can call it a Tibetan or some people call it the Darjeeling style. So for this, you just need a little bit of white flour. White flour, you need to knead it. Okay, so first you knead the white flour into a dough like that. There you go, that's the dough. Obviously, I'm not going to make all that dough, but this is the dough that you make. And then you need your main ingredient, which is the meat. You obviously mince the meat here. And then you need onions. Then you need a little bit of salt. Obviously, that is what brings the, kick, that's the taste. For flavor, you use some coriander leaves. And then to give it a little bit of heat and to give it a little spice, we have ginger. And this obviously is monosodium glutamate, which you hardly use, but if you want that umami taste, that's where you get it from. So basically, these are the simple ingredients, and it is easily found everywhere in the world, and it's not a difficult thing to make at all. So as I go ahead, I will quickly do a little mix, and I'll show you how it is done. It's very simple. All you need is a mixing bowl. And in the mixing bowl, I will add some, right now I'll just do it for like a portion. I'll add some minced meat. Don't worry, my hands are washed, it's clean. And then we go in and get some onion. You remember, just need to remember the portions. If you have like about 500 grams of meat, put in about 600 grams of onion, because that's one of the main ingredients that really gives out the flavor. Just a pinch of salt. There's some salt baking there. A little bit of umami, the monosodium glutamate thing, and a little bit of ginger. Now, if I was to make this into a Nepali style, I would add garlic, and I would add some garam masala. I'd add some turmeric and stuff like that. But since this is the Tibetan or the Darjeeling style, so this is it. That's the mix. It's about bringing everything together. Now you mix it, and don't be scared. You just need to make sure your hands are, well adapted to this thing. So that's it. That's the mix.
Simple as that. Can you just talk me through, you said about umami. Can you talk me through that? Because I don't think I understood it.
All right. Umami is, have you had chicken soup? Just a plain chicken soup?
Yes.
The flavor that, it's neither salty, it's neither sweet. It hits you behind your tongue. Mm-hmm. It is a very subtle flavor. Right, so that is the flavor that this thing brings about. It's mostly used in South Asia, Japan uses it a lot, China uses it a lot, and like right now, I just use it a little, and so that's it. That's what umami is about. So that's it. And if you want a little bit of, when you want to bite into the momos, you want a little bit of juice. You get a little bit of soupiness. You just add a little bit of water, or butter or oil. That's it.
So that's something that I've noticed a lot with momos. They're not dissimilar to other sort of treats you can find, but with momos in particular, I always find them juicier and the flavor just a lot softer than gyozos or similar kind of food from across the region. What is that because you do the extra water? Is there any other reason for that?
Yeah, basically, when you do this mix, what the Tibetans do is they add little warm water and then they keep mixing it, and again add little water. They keep mixing it. So by the time you mix this thing with your hands, it the mince meat becomes softer, and then the flavors are well amalgamated within the ingredients here. So that tends to first soften the meat a little, and it also kicks in the whole process of the marination. So what it does is it starts melting the fats of the meat itself, and it with the oil and the water, it sort of gets all the ingredients. They tend to bind together. So when you and then you leave it away, leave it on side for like half an hour, and then when you pack it into your momos inside the momo wrappers and steam it, when it's getting cooked, all those flavors they release through the steam. So and it's packed into one little bundle, and that's the reason why when you eat momos in Kathmandu, it bursts into a flavor right into your mouth, and then you have this, you got everything. You got umami, you got salt, you got a lot. You the spiciness, freshness from the coriander, all that thing comes in through that little bite. So it's like a little world. That's how
And
I like to.
Is it true? So, like, these are bite-sized kind of sizes a lot of the time. Although I have seen some of your larger momos are enormous. But I was once told that the best way to eat a momo is put it all in your mouth in one go and not bite it half and half. Is that
Yes.
true? And if so, how on earth do I eat some of your larger momos?
All right. There's a way to eat the small momos. Small momos, obviously, you take it, you dip it into the sauce that's given, and then you put the whole thing in the mouth because it's small. It is bite size, right? And for the big ones, you don't. Some people tend to cut it, but I prefer not to cut it because you still have the flavors inside. So you dip it in the sauce, you take your first bite, and then you have a little hole, and then you put the sauce again, and then you take the second bite. It's a whole process, So it's a process of how you eat it also. So yeah, that's how you basically eat the big momos and the small momos. But basically, I feel personally it's better to put the small bite-sized momos in your mouth. That's where you get the real, taste and the flavor and stuff like that.
And hope it's not too hot still inside.
Yeah, the idea is to wait. The plate comes to your table, you have a chit-chat, for about 5 minutes, and then the momo cools down, and then you slowly start eating. Otherwise, you'll burn your tongue and stuff like that.
So again, you're the managing director of Child Reach, and Child Reach has been around in Nepal for quite a long time, and you've been involved for I don't know how many years now, but I've known you since 2015 when I first arrived in Nepal. Tell us, how did you end up at Child Reach? What was your journey to get into that area, into the charity sector in Nepal?
So I after my college, I decided to. No, there's always one thing for me to join the charity sectors once I finish my college and stuff like that. So soon after I finished my college in Calcutta, I came back to Nepal and joined a charity back then. They were working with displaced children from Humla. This happened specifically post-insurgency. No, insurgency again is a different story altogether. It was a 10-year-long civil unrest within the country, and a lot of children were being displaced and trafficking, and all these things was happening. So I ended up working with 13 small children, ages from 5 years to 7 years. They were a crazy bunch. So I worked with them for about 7 years. I was directly, responsible to take care of the development and stuff like that. So, as children don't stay children forever. They tend to grow. So I saw their overall development, had them join a youth program in a particular organization, and I thought, well, this is it. Time for me to move on. So 2013, I more or less took a sabbatical for about 3 months. And then, lo and behold, the then country director of Challenge Nepal, he called me, and then that's how I joined Challenge Nepal. And from then on, I think it's been a roller coaster ride. But at the same time, it's been very, very meaningful for me because it has definitely been a shift, from what I was doing to what I'm doing right now. I was working directly with children then. Now I'm more into the development of communities, reaching out to children through the schools, through Challenge Nepal. So that had me change my perception over time, from children should be, well treated in institutional care to no, children should be, well protected within the community. That's where the optimum protection comes through, and have their education, have everything within the setting of a community. So that it was definitely a huge shift from what I was doing to what I'm doing right now with Challenge Nepal and with an amazing team that I have at the moment. So the journey obviously has been ups and downs. I've learned a lot over time, and right now we stand in a situation where Challenge Nepal is one of the leading organizations using sports as a tool for development. And we are now making a lot of activities through sports for development. Our core strategic pillar is education, child protection, and sports for development. But within all this, we try to reach out to the children through sports. So this has definitely been an amazing journey for me so far. So that's what I can say about me at the moment. And it definitely has seen a profound growth within my individual professional growth, and it's always good to be right at where you want and what you want to do out of life. I've always believed in a purpose, right? So I feel right now is my purpose, in life to do what I'm doing right now.
And talk me through the Sport for Development program. And you work across, I think, one major region of Nepal in Sindapalchuk. What is it the Sport Development program is about? What does it do? What are the goals? What have you achieved so far?
All right. Sports for Development was something that was envisioned back in 2012. It was something that came out of chance when the then director was walking up the village. He saw a small child crying, and he asked the child, "Why the child is crying?" The child said, "I want to go to school." Obviously, to our surprise, it was funny to actually hear children wanting to go to school. Why would they want to go to school? It was very simple. The child wanted to play. In rural communities in Nepal, there's very little space. It's up in the mountains. It's dangerous for children to play. And schools are places where they are, it has a pretty big space. And when children come together, they like to have fun. They want to play. That's how they learn. So this is where the idea of sports initiative was initiated. That's where it struck. We felt like, okay, we're doing education projects, but we're doing health, we're doing child protection. But in order to actually reach out to our core beneficiaries, our center of the whole work that we are doing are the children. So if we do not listen to their need at the moment, I don't think so are we doing the right work. So that's exactly how it started off. It started off as a sports initiative where we took popular sports like football and volleyball and various other sports. We started to engage with the children, and we saw little impact there. We saw children who actually dropped out of school coming back to school. Why? Because they got to play. So then we realized, hey, there is a gap here. We need to do more. So that's how we started to delve deeper into the sports for development. Flashback from 2012 to what we are now. we are now working with amazing charities, amazing partners, amazing supporters from around the globe. We're part of a network called the Street Football World, through which we're working with the FIFA Foundation at the moment. And we have Women Win, we had Comic Relief supporting one of our projects, all related to sports for development, but it is interconnected to school dropouts, displacement, gender equity, education. It's really exciting. Right now, we are developing a curriculum, social studies curriculum, into a play-based methodology. So we are teaching the teachers to teach children outside the classroom. There's a practical side to it, and then there's a theoretical side to it. It's always exciting to see how children learn while they play. It's a little radical, it's a little rebellious to get the teachers to do these things, because traditionally, if you look at how the education system is around Nepal right now, specifically in community school, is just the teacher teaching the children. It's a one-off thing. It's not a give and take. Specifically the question is more about how traditionally the students were taught in terms of the in Nepali term is the guru. Guru means the teacher, and Sikshak means the teacher and the student relation is very hierarchical, So the teacher is always right situation there. So we're trying to break that barrier a little. We want the teachers to come down to the level of the students, understand their students, and then slowly have this teacher-student relationship that we have predominantly all over the world. So that's what we are doing with one of our projects. The other project is more to do with how we can engage girls into sports or play. Girls, obviously, in any developing nation, specifically in our context, girls, they don't get to play. Basically, they have this little play group in the field. Before, when we used to go to school, we used to see the boys, all over the place, running with the ball, playing volleyball, dominating the whole play space, and the girls were on the sides, playing their own little game. So we thought, hey, I think we need to, bring in a message, tell the boys that girls also need to play. They also are equal part of this whole ecosystem. So we had this project which specifically worked on the gender equality and the overall, the education bit of it. So through sports right now, we were able to support the local community to build a play space. And right now we have girls football team, and we have girls playing in more interesting sports. When I talked to one of the senior girls and asked her why do you want to join the army, her reply was, because I will get to play football, which is again some of the behavioral changes that we could see within the community. One of the girls, she joined 11, 12 in Kathmandu from the rural areas. She came to Kathmandu and she said, will I get to play football? To the principal. This was something that we really are all about. We want the children to take charge of their lives. We don't want to be there, guiding them. They have to be more responsible. And I think that's what adds up to being independent citizens in the coming days. So sports for development is that unique element again, and for the marathon sake, we had two girls run one of the impact marathons back in 2016 or 2016.
Yeah.
Right now they are running. They are actually very, very active in marathons all over Nepal. It's really good to see that.
Well, Lambuti came and she won our 42 kilometer this year, Lambuti, and to see that journey of 2016, I remember her coming and you were with them, the two sisters, and they ran the 10 kilometer, found it pretty tough. The idea that 4 years later she'd be our first ever Nepali female winner of the 42 kilometer is absolutely remarkable. And I think there's something in there, and obviously we've talked about it, and the running world and the ultra running world obviously sees the role of Meera Rai. And for those who don't know, Meera Rai is a ultra runner who comes from Nepal, who burst onto the scene out of nowhere, winning races all over the world in the ultra marathon distances. And she became arguably the biggest sports star in Nepal, and suddenly you saw this great swathe of girls begin to run because of Meera. And Meera showed that women could run. And I, if you could just sort of give a bit from the perspective of you working on the ground with children in sport, what was the impact and what is the impact still of Meera's role in gender equality in particular within Nepal?
All right. If I have to take this, the gender equality, obviously, it's a very vague issue within Nepal. They are, if you look at the policy level, there are amazing laws that have been passed benefiting women in general across the nation. But again, when you come down to the ground, a lot of factors affect the overall, it affects how communities react to this particular situation, because culture is involved, norms, values within the community is involved. Simple thing like menstruation is still considered a taboo. So yeah, with Impact's support, we're also working on a small project called Project Chori. So this is just to give a layout of how we are tackling gender equality issues. So some of the girls, they tend to miss out school because of menstruation. They don't get to attend school for the period of through the whole menstruation period. Why? Because there is no facilities. Simple things like supporting or I sometimes like to say that good friendliness in terms of your hygiene and sanitation. Things like these are not well equipped in community schools. So we're trying to address these kind of things, and at the same time we're trying to change the way boys perceive girls to be. So we have a curriculum called Ask Choices. It's where we bring boys and girls together. It's a simple exercise. We ask the boys and girls to run, and then after that we say we ask everybody to run like a girl. So everybody goes ha ha. But then we ask everybody, mind you, girls are also involved, and we ask them to run like boys. The girls are also running alongside boys. That is the whole perception that is embedded, into their heads. We're trying to break that barrier. It's more about a behavioral change. So that is what is that's exactly what we're tackling right now. The impact is not tangible. It's not going and fitting a tab. It's not about doing 1, 2, 3. It's more about doing this, and over time we want to see that change. So right now, like I told you earlier, if the field was full of boys dominating the field, playing football, acting all macho. Right now we have girls coming alongside, practicing in the field. We have sports festivals, annual sports festival, where we encourage boys and girls team to come. We encourage the boys and girls to play together. So and then we also, some of the boys, I've heard them talk. They've never seen their own friends playing football. One of the boys like, oh, this girl can kick a ball as good as me. These are things that we want to see in the community. That is what translates into the community understanding the importance of women and girls in the community. It's not just about giving birth, doing your household chores. It's more. It's beyond that. They also play an integral role within the structure of the community. So I feel that is what is the message that we need to transcend to the young children, the young people within the community, so that by the time the generation becomes a little more adult, they understand the importance and the roles of male and female within the communities. So that's exactly what we're trying to do at the moment through our projects in the communities.
And so, you've been in the sector now a long time. And I guess something that comes up a lot when I discuss with our different partners around the world is that progress and development is not linear. It doesn't just, things aren't just like this. I feel like of all the countries we work in, Nepal is one of those countries where this is even more true. And, you know, from everything I talk a lot when I try and describe Nepal to people is, you know, every single year the landscape shifts, whether it's earthquakes, the monsoons and the landslides. Every single year the landscape shifts, and that's a physical thing. But I feel like it's also something that happens. You know, we're seeing around the world the world beneath our feet changing in some ways because of COVID, and it may not be a physical change, but it certainly is changing the progress that the world is seeing. What are the biggest challenges that you have faced? Obviously, we think about the 2015 earthquake and the challenges therein. And I mean it from the perspective of your mission, rather than the perspective of the initial challenges and the terror and the fear of such an event, but more around how does that impact your work? How do you bring things back on track? You know, what is the story behind an earthquake, or even if you bring it up to date, what is the story behind COVID and the fact that children aren't in school during this period in Nepal? What are you fearful of? What opportunities do you see? And how does it impact your work?
All right. So our mission is very clear. You know, we want to unlock children's potential. It's as simple as that. So when the earthquake struck, we were afraid that most of the children wouldn't return back to school. So our immediate objective was to make sure there are safe spaces for children within the communities. And we immediately ended up making schools, building schools, even using prefabricated structures. You know, we ended up doing this so rapidly that just happened over a period of a year. But that was just a tip of the iceberg in terms of challenges. You know, the underlying factors was immense. You know, post earthquake, we've come about with like around 5 years now from the earthquake, and we still have a lot of development to happen. We still have to we still yet to see more development to take place within the communities that we're working in. Like you said, development is never linear. You know, we plan things. We have annual plans. We do a weekly plan. We do monthly plans. We want to do this. We want to do that. Everything is set. But unfortunately, due to a lot of internal factors, you know, that surrounds the overall execution of the project, you know, to the, you know, like you said, the natural disasters, and now we have this huge pandemic happening. So these are the things that you know, sort of forces us to, you know, one of our values within the organization is adaptability. You know, the team, I'm very lucky to have a team that is young and that is focused, but at the same time flexible as the BAM works. You know, they are ready to make changes here and there. They are not rigid. They are not. They're not like so. We have to do this types. You know, if they see a potential risk in whatever we are doing, we are ready to make that changes. For example, the recent landslides that we had a request from our communities. We had a budget that obviously came through international. We had to reallocate some of that into providing immediate support to these communities that was badly affected by the landslides. So things like this. Now, right now we have the COVID. We really want to go out into the communities. We want to, you know, spend time with the children, have them understand. With the school closed for close to about 7 months, they are out of schools. We hear some of the children getting married. We are already a little jittery about that. You know, that's not what we cannot just sit down and, you know, with our hands tied. So we had to make immediate changes to what we are doing right now. So we are also fortunate at the same time to have a very flexible partner. They were partners who said, hey, hell, you know, you have the situation, make use of the budget to do this, to do what you think is right in the field. So that's where we allocated some of the funds for relief work. We are still allocating some of the funds to see the children come back to school. Right now, our major challenge and our biggest challenge is to get the children back to school. But more than that is to ensure that the teachers are mentally fit. Right now, due to the pandemic, a lot of mental well-being issues related to mental health is propping up. So we want to make sure that the teachers are mentally well. So these are things that we're trying to work in at the moment. Now again, these are things that are intangible. These are things that we cannot count. These are things that it's not about printing a workbook, going to the community and telling the children to do that. But in order to bring out quality, we need to make sure the right, like you said, the development is never linear, and the way Challenge Nepal works, even though we have like a rigid annual plan, we also take into account, we have learned to take into account what future may hold. We have natural disasters, we have pandemics, we have all these things coming in. So these are the challenges that we sort of learn over time, right? For example, right now, this COVID pandemic has definitely shifted the paradigm a little towards how we should be again reopening schools. Flashback to 2015, we were thinking about that. How do we reopen schools? What is a safe space for children? Again, flashback. Now we are again back to zero, trying to reopen schools and making sure children are safe, along with the teachers and most importantly, the whole community is safe. So these kind of challenges, they seem to keep popping in time and again. And with our ability to adapt to situation like this, and with the team's flexible nature, I feel we are pretty well placed in terms of how we are, slowly working on disasters, be it natural or man-made. So that's exactly what we're doing at the moment.
So you mentioned about the teachers and the mental health. I guess there's two questions around that. One is what is your kind of communications network? How do you find out that the teachers up in some of the more rural communities you work in, how do you find out that their mental health isn't so good? And I guess the second question I have on that is what you just said there, flashback to 2015, we're back to square one, here we are. How do you, Urgen, stay positive? How is your mental health at a time like this in terms of this is your life's work, this is, as you said, your calling, your passion, and you're now faced with yet again getting back to that first square and starting again. How do we get how do you know about the teachers, and how are you doing personally?
Okay, personally, yes, obviously I was devastated in the first instance. It was more about what next, what is going to happen next. This is something that we've never heard of. This is something that's very new, and it had to happen in our generation. So I was quiet for a good 14 days. I didn't know. I was frozen, I'm sure this is the same with my team members at the same time. We didn't want to step out of our homes. We didn't want to get out of our places. We were scared, this is a deadly virus. We never know what's going to happen. We feared for our families. Amidst all this, we kept talking with each other, I think that's where the whole building up of confidence started to happen. And as we slowly started to step out of our doors, we saw the world and how it was working. Building that confidence was really important for me personally, because, in terms of not only making sure your family is safe, on the other side, you have your other family, right? You have your whole team. Is important to factor in their well-being too. So amidst all this, yes, there's a lot of crisis, and within all this, it is very important, I think, to be very empathetic and put yourself into the shoes of the ones in the community, because that's where we are working, right? I cannot be here saying, okay, I think if you just do this, it'll be all right. You need to be there with them, if not physically, spiritually, and, in terms of, talking to them, giving them, feelings of hope. So these are the things that I felt needed to be incorporated immediately. So having talked with them, having talked with the teachers, that's where I realized I think they are really in need of support in terms of your mental well-being. So that's exactly about 3 months back, I started to slowly get in touch with the teachers, and it is very, very, I feel teachers are always on the receiving end. Back in 2015, the teachers were the first responders to the earthquake. You can imagine the tremendous mental stress that they had. Some of the teachers lost their lives. It was very, very, I don't know how to say it. It's definitely, I don't know how to put it, but I feel I always empathize with them, So they are there in 2015, trying to be the first responders, trying to coordinate with different organizations like us. And again, now they are in a situation, catch-22. They see their children not doing anything. They're trying to do something with whatever little resources that they have. Digitally, rural Nepal is not connected. Internet facilities is next to 10 homes within that huge community of 25 to 30,000 households. Just imagine 25 to 30 households, and there's about internet connections is about 10 households daily. Schools have that, but some of them are not well connected due to the topography. So things like this definitely will have a ripple effect on the mental well-being of the teachers. They again, at the same time, they need to take care of the family, they need to take care of the community, they need to take care of the students. So coupled with all this, we felt that they definitely need a reinforcement. They definitely need assurance. They definitely need something to back them up. Otherwise they're always left behind. So that is what we felt as an organization, and through our communication with the teachers in the communities. That's where we engaged that yes, they really need support in terms of mental health. So that's where I feel we really need to touch upon that and give them assurance in terms of reaching out to the children again and restarting school.
Amazing. Well, I mean, I think it's just so interesting to see. One thing that I think is really clear is most of the people watching this, whether they're in Canada, US, UK, across Europe, we've got a reasonable amount of people, and we've all found that our media is very heavily focused inwardly. And we're filming this at the moment a few days after, and it's 24 hours a day. We're watching press conferences from the United States, and any COVID news we have is focused solely on what's happening in our countries. And that's nothing wrong with that. We need to know these things. But I think when we zoom out as well, things where the different challenges faced by different countries. And I always like to put it in the context of it not being better or not being worse, and it's not like we have to feel grateful that we don't. Everybody is faced with challenges that are relevant to their situation and that. And when you say things like, think about the topography, I think that's something that doesn't really, when you think of Nepal, a lot of people don't really consider, they think of the beautiful mountains. They don't necessarily think about the challenges of how do you build a road to those beautiful mountains? How do you maintain that road? And then as you build a village, how do you connect it? These kind of simple concepts tastes that we take very much as standard are the challenges that you're facing in a way that it transcends wealth, it transcends the GDP of a country. This is the reality of how do you get up to villages which don't have great roads? How does a rural community discuss COVID and educate and teach? How do you disseminate the information when you don't have a connected internet system? So helpful and interesting, and thank you so much for kind of sharing that side of things. The other thing, I guess, important here is that we're in the middle of a Momo, and we've seen the mix be made, and I feel like we should tap back into how we're going to make a Momo before we head off on another wide-reaching discussion.
Totally. So, coming back to a much lighter topic right now. Remember the dough that I showed you, which we made with the simple flour here, which is already here a little bit. What we do is we need to make this into a little roti-like roti. You know what's roti, right? Roti, like a round chapati kind of thing. So which we need to do by taking out a piece from the big dough here, make it round like that. We have our rolling pin, predominantly used by rural women to hit their men. So we make the roti, not the roti, the Momo wrapper. The Momo wrapper, I think that'll be the next album. To that, we add our mix inside. Make sure it's nice and long, well placed in your dough. And then it's all about pinching. So you pinch here with this finger and this finger. Your index finger basically are at play at most of the time. You pinch again, you pinch, 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 and seal.
You make that look so easy, Urgen. I've never successfully managed to do that very well.
So that is one way you can make. I'll just show you a quick, easy one, just in case you want to make momos and then, all of a sudden that's a little difficult for you. So this is a little, we call it shumai. Shumai, again, is a Chinese term. See how it is connected, right? So for that, what you do is, again, mind you, the first one was longitudinal. Now this, just put it in the center here. You pinch these two together, bring it together, pinch these two together, bring it here, pinch this one here. And, okay, that's not so good looking, but here it works. So that's the other side. Very simple.
And I see some little holes on each of the four corners there. Do you seal that up before you put it, before you cook it?
No. This is, when you cook it, if you want to make it look beautiful, just pinch the two holes on the sides here, so that it looks something like that. Mm-hmm. So you put it like that on the steamer. So the idea here is the sauce, you put it in the holes, and then you eat it.
Oh, wow.
So that's the two styles. One is the longitudinal, one is the open, and quickly, one more, which is the round one. Same thing, put it in the center, and just keep pinching all across the sides till you seal everything. And you have a little round momo. So these are the momos that you see mostly in Kathmandu. That's how you make the momos.
Amazing. And then what happens next?
Oh, after that, we have the momo steamer. I don't know where it is live. Let's quickly let me see. Sorry for that. So this is the momo steamer. It has holes, mm-hmm. And you put the momos in the momo steamer,
and then you put it on fire with water on such contraptions, and then you let it steam for say about something. Obviously, you need to cover it. I don't know where the cover is on. This is not my kitchen. I don't know where it's not. You stop it. You just let it steam.
And so,
steam for a while.
If people at home don't have a steamer like that, vegetable steamers are reasonably common in the UK. But if people don't have a steamer, how else could they cook the momo?
All right. So the other way is you get a pan.
Mm-hmm.
This is something. Okay. I don't know if you have rice cooker in the UK. You can cook it in the rice cooker also.
Okay.
There is a small steamer like that. Otherwise, if you do not have a steamer at home and you want to make the momos, get a pan. Something if you have a non-stick pan, butter it up nicely.
Yeah.
You can have that for breakfast. Amazing. And again, this side up on the pan. And let it steer for say about 5-6 minutes till the bottom is brown. Okay. After that, put a little bit of water, say about half a cup of water on the momo, and then cover it for another 15 minutes till the water in the pan evaporates. So once that happens, the momo is steamed, and you get what we call the kothe.
Mm-hmm.
That's a type of momo. Yes, first you have the steam. The kothe is a little brown on the bottom. That's how you make the kothe. So, there are many ways to make momos. And but we mostly steam it and then later on we fry it.
And you've mentioned a few times the sauce. I have to say the sauce is possibly my favorite bit of a Nepali momo. What are the ingredients of that sauce? How easy is it to make at home?
Yeah, this is like any good cook show. I have some prepared here, but obviously this is the frozen ones. So the sauce. So this is basically how we serve momos. Okay, it's nicely placed on the plate, and then we have this little sauce on top. So this sauce is a bit different. This sauce consists of onions, tomatoes, don't forget the green coriander, and sesame seed. It is cooked first, fried in oil, and then it's blended. If you want to make it hot and spicy, you add in some green chili, and then you get this sauce. It's tangy, little spice, and you have this nice aroma of the sesame seed, which also gives it the thickness, within the sauce. And this one, again, mind you, this is something that comes from China. The hot chili, but in Nepal we make it a little dry. So it's basically chili flakes with garlic and oil. That's it.
Simple.
So it's as simple as that. Momo making. That's life. And if you just eat momos like that, it may seem a little bland. So like any other thing, you dip it in the sauce and you eat it. That's where the spice, that's where you get all the overall flavor of the momo and stuff like that. So yeah.
And just on a little note, I've noticed you're out running at the moment. I see that on social media, you're posting your runs. What is it about running that you love? What makes you run? How do you enjoy it? What's running like around the streets of Kathmandu? Tell us a little about your journey in the running world.
Okay, the running world. I was never a runner. No, because I'm huge. I never felt that I'd be running and stuff like that. But I think I need to blame you and Impact Marathon for actually driving me into running, because right now I feel it's something out of the world for me to say, because once I start running, I'm in my own element. That's where I think, I process. Sometimes I'm just blank. I'm just running. It gives me a sense of. Just for that 1 hour is just myself, just me. So I feel that's exactly how the marathon runners feel too when they're running. They're all by themselves, thinking about life and stuff like that. So that's exactly what is happening to me right now. I've been running for the past couple of weeks, and it has definitely boosted my self-esteem in a way. And before I just used to do a couple of runs. Now I do more, pacing slowly, going around larger areas around town. And it's lovely to see how Kathmandu wakes up in the morning, when you run and you see the vegetable vendors getting their stuff from the farm, you get to see a lot of street art. You get to see a lot of things that you miss out in your daily life. You on a motorbike, zip, zoom, you don't really get to see life as a whole. But as you run, you get to see so many things, And you get to see people feeding dogs. I never saw that. Dogs are well loved right now. So it gives me a sense of reassurance that people are actually going back to being nice in a way. So yeah, running in a way has definitely changed the way I see life at the moment, and I hope to keep it that way. Obviously, I run in the mornings, and the whole day I eat momos, put on weight, again I run. It's fun. So yeah, that's I think running as a sport is cheap. You don't have to buy anything. You just need a good pair of shoes. Then that's exactly what I feel the communities need up in the mountains, nice topography, trail running is amazing. Mira Lai itself is at home out there. She is what is driving this all over the place. I think we need more women like her to actually tell the girls in the communities to run, I mean, it just gives you that feeling of being free for that particular instance, I mean, like, it's reassuring, you run and you say, oh, I'm alive. I get to see so many things. I breathe in air, and you got to breathe in a lot of air right now due to the pandemic. You need to keep your lungs healthy and stuff. So it's helping me in a lot of ways.
It's
Definitely.
really great to see. And there is something absolutely magical in any city, but Kathmandu in particular, where it's such a busy, bustling city through the day. When you get up early in Kathmandu and you go out and you see people doing their daily exercises around the temples. I used to live near Maipi Temple, and every morning from sort of 4 till 6, there's a swathes of people walking and jogging and running around the temple. And hearing Kathmandu wake up is one of those amazing things, and something that if anyone's visiting, you make sure you do that, because through the day you can think of it as just a heavy, bustling, busy city, but in the mornings there's a magic.
Yeah.
And totally. I mean, I guess on that sort of note, we always like to try and make sure that we stay optimistic, and I wanted to kind of get an idea from you even, of what in all of this, in the challenges you face, whether that's COVID or whether that's the normal day-to-day work of Child Reach, what is it that you're optimistic about right now?
I feel that there's this glimmer of hope, that drives all of us, the whole team, Child Reach as a whole. I'm really optimistic about the team and the way we are working at the moment. I'm optimistic about how things are turning out to be for us individually and also professionally within our own little personal lives out there. But I'm really optimistic about how our partners, our supporters are slowly lending their support in kind or in cash or in any way possible. So as a small charity in Nepal, I feel we are doing what we can at the moment. And I'm really optimistic about the present at the moment. And I strongly believe in living right now, and that's what I'm really optimistic about in terms of how we are getting things done and how we are moving ahead, treading ahead, little steps, but it's just about getting things done. And I'm really thankful
that I get to wake up every day and to a new day every day, and to think about what we can do as an organization in Nepal. So that is what keeps driving me, and I'm sure it is the same with the team at the moment. So yeah, that's exactly what I'm optimistic about.
Brilliant. And I see there's a lot of Momo ingredients still there. I would hate to take any more of your time before you guys cook that up, and I'm sure have a little bit of Momo diplomacy and chatting amongst the team who've helped you put on this show for us today. So, Urgen, Childreach, just thank you so much, not just for the time today, and not just for the partnership that we've obviously had for 5 years. Thank you so much for the work that you do every single day. It amazes me, and whenever I tap in to chat to you, you always upbeat, you're always optimistic, you always lift my spirits, and thank you for the friend that you are in my life. So thank you so much.
Likewise. Yeah, thank you very much for having us.